My name is Juliet, and I am 26 years old. The ballroom smelled like expensive perfume and old money the moment I stepped inside. Crystal chandeliers poured light over marble floors, and men in tailored suits laughed too, loudly while clinking glasses of champagne that probably cost more than my first car. This was my father's retirement party, lavish, excessive, carefully designed to remind everyone how powerful and admired he was. I stood near the entrance for a second, steadying my breath, reminding myself why I came. I didn't come for praise. I didn't come for validation. I came because no matter how complicated things were, he was still my dad. As I walked further in, conversations softened, then restarted behind my back. I felt it before I heard it. That familiar tightening in my chest. The same feeling I'd had my entire childhood. I kept my head high, wearing a simple dark blue dress, elegant but understated. No diamonds, no designer logos. I learned long ago that no matter what I wore, it would never be enough for them. I was halfway to the bar when the whispers reached me. There's the frigid daughter. The one who can't do anything right. The words slid under my skin like ice. I didn't turn around. I didn't react. I already knew who said it. My father's colleagues, family friends, people who watched me grow up and learned to measure my worth using his disappointment as a ruler. I felt eyes following me, judging every step, every breath. Then I saw my stepmother across the room. Perfect hair, perfect smile, perfect cruelty. She leaned toward a security guard, pointed openly in my direction and sneered, loud enough for others to hear. Security, remove this useless woman. Useless. That word echoed louder than the music, louder than the laughter. It was the same word my father had used years ago when I told him I didn't want to work in his company. The same word he used when I chose a quieter life. When I stopped begging for approval. When I refused to become a shadow of him. My father stood nearby, glass in hand. He heard it. He didn't stop it. He didn't even look surprised. That was the moment something inside me finally went silent. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I didn't plead. I smiled politely, turned around, and walked out while security avoided my eyes. Behind me, the party continued. Laughter swelled again. To them, I was just an inconvenience removed. But what none of them knew, what my father never bothered to ask, was that I had quietly rebuilt my life, piece by piece after leaving his world. While they were busy calling me useless, I was learning discipline. While they were mocking my silence, I was protecting my peace. And while they were celebrating his retirement, I was about to make the most important decision of my life. Outside, the night air felt cold and clean. I sat in my car for a long moment, hands resting on the steering wheel, replaying the words in my head. Frigid daughter, useless woman. I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt clear. I pulled out my phone and made one call to my attorney. Within minutes, the process was set in motion. The $17 million trust that had been sitting quietly in my name, untouched, unmentioned, and completely underestimated, was transferred, locked away beyond their reach. No emotional reactions, no dramatic confrontations, just a legal wall they could never climb. I drove home calmly, the city lights blurring past me. By the time I reached my apartment, my phone was already vibrating. Missed call. Another. I set my bag down and watched the screen light up again and again. By the time I poured myself a glass of water, there were 56 missed calls. My father, my stepmother, numbers I didn't recognize but already knew. Then came the knocking, loud, urgent, panicked. They were at my door. The same people who had whispered behind my back. The same ones who ordered security to remove me like trash. Now they wanted to talk. I stood in my quiet living room, phone buzzing nonstop, door shaking under their fists. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel small. I felt untouchable. And as I stared at the door, listening to their voices crack with desperation, I realized something simple and powerful. They never thought I was useless. They were afraid of what I could do without them. I didn't open the door right away. I stood there barefoot on the cool floor, listening as panic replaced arrogance on the other side. My father's voice came first, tight, controlled, pretending this was all a misunderstanding. My stepmother followed, her tone sharp but trembling, switching between anger and fake concern. Just an hour earlier, she had sneered, "Security, remove this useless woman." Now she was calling my name like we were family again. I unlocked the door and opened it just enough to look at them. The sight was almost surreal. My father, who had once filled entire rooms with confidence, now looked smaller, his shoulders tense, his smile forced. My stepmother clutched her designer purse like a lifeline, eyes darting past me as if expecting to see someone else inside, someone richer, someone more important than the daughter they had just humiliated. "Juliet," my father said, lowering his voice, "we need to talk." I leaned against the doorframe, calm, unreadable. "About what?" He swallowed. "About what happened at the party. Things were misunderstood." "Misunderstood?" I almost laughed. From behind him, guests from the retirement party lingered at a distance, pretending not to stare. Word travels fast in rooms built on gossip and money. They already knew something had gone wrong. They just didn't know how badly. My stepmother cut in, irritation leaking through her fake smile. "You embarrassed us by leaving like that. People are asking questions." I met her eyes. "Funny, you didn't seem worried." "About embarrassment when you called me useless in front of everyone." Silence. Then my father exhaled slowly, the way he used to before delivering criticism disguised as advice. "Let's not be dramatic. You've always been sensitive. But you should know, family assets come with responsibilities. Decisions like the one you made tonight shouldn't be taken lightly." There it was. Not concern, not regret, fear. I stepped back and opened the door wider. "Come in," I said softly. They exchanged relieved glances and walked inside, confidence returning too quickly. My father sat on the couch like he owned the place. My stepmother remained standing, arms crossed, eyes scanning my apartment, modest. Quiet, intentionally simple. My father cleared his throat. "You moved the trust." It wasn't a question. "Yes," I replied. His jaw tightened. That money was meant to stay accessible to the family. I tilted my head. "You mean the same family that whispered, 'There's the frigid daughter who can't do anything right'?" My stepmother scoffed. "People talk. That's just how these circles are. And yet," I said evenly, "you still expected access to my future." My father leaned forward. "Juliet, don't let emotions ruin decades of planning." "That trust is mine," I interrupted. My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. And I've placed it exactly where it belongs. The room felt smaller then. My stepmother's confidence cracked. "You're being spiteful," she snapped. "After everything we've given you." I thought of childhood dinners eaten in silence, of achievements dismissed, of being invisible unless I disappointed him. I thought of the moment at the party, when he heard her say, "Remove this useless woman," and chose to look away. "What you gave me," I said, "was clarity." My phone buzzed on the table. Another missed call notification popped up. Numbers I recognized from the party. Executives, relatives, so-called friends. People who never defended me, now suddenly desperate to be polite. My father noticed. His voice softened again, dangerously calm. "Let's fix this. Come back to the company. Make a public appearance. Reassure people. We can talk about your role, your image." I smiled. That was when I finally told him. I left the party silently. "I moved my $17 into a trust. Within minutes, you made 56 missed calls. And now you're at my door." My stepmother's face drained of color. "You see," I continued, "I spent years being called useless because I didn't want power the way you define it. I didn't want to perform. I didn't want to beg. I wanted independence. And tonight, you all proved why that choice saved me." My father stood up abruptly. "You're making a mistake." "No," I said, meeting his eyes for the first time without fear. "I'm correcting one." I walked to the door and opened it wide. "This conversation is over." They hesitated, shocked by how easy it was for me to let them go. My stepmother muttered something bitter under her breath. My father looked like he wanted to say more, but there was nothing left that mattered. When the door closed, behind them, the apartment fell quiet again. No shouting. No drama. Just peace. I sat down, exhaled, and felt something unfamiliar settle into my chest. Freedom. I wasn't the frigid daughter. I wasn't the useless woman. I was simply someone who stopped letting others decide my worth. And if this story hit close to home, if you've ever been underestimated, dismissed, or humiliated by the very people who should have supported you, make sure you subscribe to the channel. More real, powerful stories like this are coming, and you won't want to miss what happens when quiet strength finally speaks.